Ahora inicia Fraude al Desnudo con Marta Cadavid. Transmisiones en vivo cada semana. Mira las transmisiones de nuevo en nuestras plataformas digitales. ¿Estás listo para aprender y compartir las mejores prácticas de la industria de administración de riesgos?
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos. Les habla Marta Cadavid en un programa más, una sesión más de Fraude al Desnudo. Hoy desde la ciudad de Chicago estamos en grados centígrados, estamos alrededor de -8, así que ya entramos en invierno. Muchas gracias a todas las personas por conectarse y por compartir la información. Hoy estoy con dos colegas de lujo. Yo siempre les he hablado de colegas espectaculares y muy especiales que he tenido la oportunidad de conocer acá en Estados Unidos y sobre todo alrededor de eventos como The Flow Retreat con Amanda, donde he podido conversar con ellas, compartir una mesa de trabajo y pues conocerlas un poco más. Hoy tengo el privilegio de tener en el programa a Hailey y a Erin. Erin está en California, Hailey está en Carolina del Sur en este momento. Y hoy vamos a hablar de scammers, o incluso ahora que empezábamos el programa, les decía a ellas que la idea inicial de tener Fraude al Desnudo nació cuando empecé a hablar de scammers. Y para mí es fantástico tenerlas por dos razones. Primero, porque son unas expertas en el tema, lo exponen maravillosamente. Y segundo, porque son mujeres que se han convertido como en ese modelo a seguir en la cultura americana sobre la lucha contra el fraude. Hailey y Henry no hablan español, entonces nos va a tocar pasarnos un buen rato a conversar en inglés, pero yo estoy segura que ustedes van a comprender la conversación y pues si no, pues pueden activar sus traductores. Así que empecemos. Ladies, good night. Thank you so much for being here after this wonderful introduction. So I was telling everybody who you are, the way that I meet you, and how proud I am because you are here in Fraude al Desnudo Naked Fraud. How are you doing, ladies?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
Muchas gracias por esta oportunidad.
I didn't know you speak Spanish. Great.
Puedo entenderle, pero es difícil para mí recordar las palabras en español.
Okay, so you understood everything that I say. Oof, thank God that I was talking in good terms.
You were very nice.
Ladies, thank you so much. I was telling everybody that one of the main reasons that you are here is because we want to talk about scammers, and the main idea when I start the program, Naked Fraud or Fraude al Desnudo, was when I started to talk about scammers because nobody did it. Especially in Latin America, we feel afraid to open the Pandora box and start to talk about scammers in real life in our common communication. But when I met you and you have been started this crazy idea here in the United States, I think this is something that we have to tell everybody, because as long as we communicate and we teach people, smart people can get information. So let's introduce yourself first. Erin, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Erin West. I retired 2 weeks ago, but up until then, I was a fraud prosecutor with the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. I was a prosecutor for 26 and a half years. And for the last 8 years, I focused on high-tech crimes and particularly scams. And that's what brought me to my collaboration with Hailey.
Nice. What is a prosecutor? Can you explain to our Latin American people what is a prosecutor does for living?
Yeah. So I am a lawyer that is a government lawyer, that gobierno fiscal, is that what it's called? That I was a lawyer with the government who brings charges against people, and it's my job to prove to a jury that these people are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the crimes.
Nice. I love these things. So now we can see a real person, not in the on the movies. No, now on the shows now, a real person talking about this. Now, Hailey, tell us about you, please.
Absolutely. So my name's Hailey Windham, and I absolutely know Spanish at all, so I apologize. But I trust everything that you said because I just know Marta. So I am a former banker and credit union fraud fighter, where I worked at an organization talking about exactly what you mentioned earlier, Marta, is trying to just get that information out and trying to help our members or our customers who fell victim to a scam, and taking it one step further than just looking at a dispute of whether or not we can recover our money, and actually looking to educate that person so that they don't become a victim again. I then transitioned, so now I work for Mission Omega. We're a mission-driven fraud service consulting firm. So we help banks and credit unions with their mission to fight fraud as well. And I also am the host of the Banking on Fraudology podcast, where we talk all about the same things that you're mentioning here, where we say, what can we do better at financial institutions? What can we do to collaborate better with law enforcement? And really, how can we just get the information out to consumers and everyday people who don't really know what's going on in the world of fraud, like we know it to be this terrible place. I met Erin through the power of LinkedIn, where she did an all call for everyone and said, if you're telling victims there's nothing you can do after a pig butchering scam, then you're wrong. And it was a gut shot, honestly. And because I just had a call with a member, and I told them, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. So when I found out there was more that could be done, I knew I had to partner with Erin, and ever since then we've been like two peas in a pod. She got this Southern girl to go to California. I never thought that would ever happen.
Oh, nice. That's such a wonderful story. And I think this is the way that we can collaborate. We can cooperate, just join forces. So, ladies, let's open the Pandora box. Let's talk about the scammers. What is the worst scammer strategy that is running now in social media, in the market, with banks? What is happening now with the scammers?
We are in the worst situation that we have ever seen with scams these days. They are being perpetrated by Chinese organized crime in an industrial way. There are compounds full of people overseas whose full-time job is to steal money from the rest of the world. And English-speaking countries have been very hard hit, but we know already that they're now hiring Spanish speakers to go after Spanish-speaking countries. And so it's called pig butchering. And Hailey, do you want to dig into how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So the scam originated in China, and the name was Sha Zhu Pan, which is the translation to pig butchering. We don't like that translation. We think it's grotesque as well, but it's a form, a scam name that actually grabs your attention. You're like, what is that? I even had a COO tell me once, whenever we did an article in my credit union newsletter, he said, that's the first article I've ever read with our newsletter because it said pig butchering and I didn't know what it was. So we like that name only because it's attention grabbing, yes, but not for what it implies for a victim essentially being slaughtered like a pig. But that's exactly what this scam does. So the fraudster takes the opportunity to learn everything they can possibly about the financial status of their victim. It starts out as a simple conversation. It can be a text message from someone you don't know, a number you don't recognize. It can be a message on a social media app, following a picture that you may have posted of your dog. It could even be something from a romance or a dating website. But these all start out the same as a simple, hi, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And then they go from there, and they're innocent conversations, where do you live? Or what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? And what they do is the fraudsters will have these similar things. I say similar because they just mirror back what the victims have said that they do for fun in a way to be more relatable, so that you will divulge more information and they find out as much as they can, because again, the whole point of this particular fraud is to consume the victim from snout to tail. It is getting everything that they have available to them, including even like family and friends. Like, what's the financial status there? Can you get a little bit more? And it's truly just a devastating scam because they don't seek to get in and get out like the quick scams that we've seen in the past. Instead, they play the long game. This can be a 6-month relationship or friendship that doesn't do anything with money until they hook you in, and then they continue to pull you and drag you and drag you and drag you until there's absolutely nothing left. So it's a horrible scam that we now know is called pig butchering, and we're trying to get the message out there, truly.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yes, the term pig butchering in Spanish sounds horrible as well. Let me translate for them. Pig butchering en español es como la carnicería del cerdo. So it sounds horrible, and now I can see that the strategies have changed a little bit, because years ago, the strategy for the scammer was just to cut the victim, and as soon as possible, almost fall in love in hours, and then look for money and push the person, the victim, and then disappear. But now we can see that the strategy is to have like not a long relationship, because it's not a good relationship, but keep the person thinking that it's safe to talk to the other person, either on the phone or in the computer. What I think is new is we thought that these strategies came from Africa, because we thought that is now, it was in Africa, most of these people doing this bad thing, but now it's China. This is dangerous. It's about something really bad, Erin.
Yeah, it's something different than we've seen before. What's happening in this one is the scammer is showing the victim this really elevated lifestyle that they live. They are showing fancy cars and fancy trips, and it makes our victims believe that the scammers have been really successful at investing in cryptocurrency. They fall in love with the scammer, and they think that they could have a lifestyle like that too. So when the scammer suggests, oh, why don't you try investing in crypto like I do, it sounds more reasonable to our victims. And they start off small with just a little bit of money. And when they make that investment, their money is actually going straight into the scammer's pocket. But what our victims see is a dashboard that shows that their money is going up in value. It's doubling, it's tripling. And that makes them want to invest more money. And the scammer knows that. And so the scammer knows how much money our victims have, because they've been talking to them for 90 days. And they say, you know what, you should take money out of your retirement and invest in this. And they do. And the terrible thing about pig butchering is that it does not end until the scammer has taken every last penny from the victim. And that's the tragedy. Is so we are seeing a world of victims who have lost everything.
Wow. So it's little by little, not as just one thing at once. I need $4,000 because I am in the hospital and I need to leave the country right now. It's just invite the person to have an investment and say, just invest only $1,000 here. And then when the person is excited and happy about the investment performance, so she or he puts more money there. That's horrible. So how can people understand this scam, or how they can see red flags about this?
Well, and what I want to add back, just to piggyback on what Erin was saying, when we talk about this scam, what we have to understand is and I'm a former banker. So, I looked at the financial transactions and I was like, how do we not know that this is fraud? And this is not victim shaming. It was just truly trying to understand how, as a financial institution, can we not recognize whenever the funds are leaving, like that this is potentially fraudulent? And then how, as a consumer, would I also not recognize that? So I had to do a little digging because I am not a crypto expert. I don't want to be, because I want to be able to provide this type of insight into what it looks like to the everyday person. So from what I have learned and what we see in this scam is that it's not just about what they do with the transaction. So they call it being under the ether, right? And so in that process of building this victim up to being able to invest, they're doing this whole trust long game where it's building trust, and it's building trust in that emotional connection with someone. So we're talking about the personal connections, the shared interest, and then that's that slow vetting process, again, that grooming to understand exactly their financial status. And then it's that gradual introduction into the investment idea. So we're talking about strategic timing of if you input $1,000, because we're going to test the waters, then, oh, look, you've already got a gain. Now, why don't you go ahead and take some of that money back and reward yourself to a dinner, right? And so they're building the trust in the process because I've seen the gain. Now I've actually benefited from it because we put the money back into my account and I'm able to go and spend it. So I trust it. And this was quick, easy money through my investment. So why not add 50,000 more that I do have access to? And because, again, we've been vetted this whole time, so that fraudster knows exactly what to say to get the person to trust the process. And unfortunately, it is whenever they do see those investments and those gains from what they have invested, they're very eager to put more money in because it does look legit. And these fraudsters take all the measures to make them trust this process by even saying, hey, let's go to this website and ensure this is a vetted platform, that it's already gone through the system to make sure that through FinCEN that it's not, a suspicious website. You can use this because it's trusted. So again, it's that full process of making them fully trust the process, that they don't have any red flags because they've already gone through 90 days of trusting someone and building a relationship with them.
So what I understand, ladies, is that the first investment, let's call it that way, the first tranche of money goes through a legitimate, a real platform, okay? And then once the person, so the victim, is able to see or to prove that everything is real, that everything works, that the victim is capable to take the money out and then reinvest. So the scammer invites this person to go to another platform. And then the second platform is that the problem. Am I all right?
No, it's actually such a tricky thing these scammers are doing. Both platforms are fake. It's always the same platform. But the scammer is, you put the money into the fake platform and then the scammer gives you some money, some real money back.
Okay.
And so none of it was ever real. And that brings up another point for victims, is none of it was ever real. And they come to realize after they've lost all their money that none of it was ever real. And in fact, the person who led them there had been plotting this from the very first conversation they had. It's such a devious way of stealing from people because you made that person trust and believe you. And that person thought you were going to be their one and only. And in fact, you were always planning to steal all their money. It's really, really a dirty trick.
It's horrible. So it's unbelievable crazy. I thought that it was a little bit different, but now that I am educated, it sounds horrible. So what is the main target for talking about victims?
Well, I wish I could tell you that there was one main target, but truly what we see is victims from age 20 to age 80. We see male and female victims. We see a lot of people in their 50s. We see a lot of people who have made enough money to put away and live a comfortable retirement, but then lose it all in this scheme and have to go back to work after they've already retired. We've seen really educated people become victims of this crime. And I think that helps us to recognize how good the psychological techniques are that are being used against these victims. They are tried and true psychological tricks that really get our victims to believe that this is going to work, that this is all logical, and that they are making money.
So is the kind of investments only related to crypto, or is fiat, or another kind of investments?
Well, sometimes they'll do it differently. Sometimes they'll think maybe this person isn't going to trust crypto. So that what they might do is they might tell the victim to buy gold bars. This is a whole other thing we're seeing, where the victim will buy gold bars and the scammer will send a courier to pick them up at the victim's house. They might convince the victim that they're investing in gold futures or something like that. So it's not always crypto, but it's always an investment scheme.
Okay, perfect. If you had the opportunity to talk to a group of victims and then to the financial institutions, can you give us one recommendation, for example, for the financial institutions who play an important role here? What is the recommendation to detect this kind of scams? Because the money is coming from the bank accounts of the victims. Am I right?
You are right. And I'll take this one, Erin, if you don't mind. So that's exactly what we've done is we've had conversations with victims, and with me as a prior banker, I'm asking the questions of where could we have interjected as a financial institution that would have made you pause? And do we need to just automatically take the stance of we're not going to do this type of transaction? And we don't want to do that because there are a lot of valid transactions that do happen on these investment platforms. However, what we're seeing is the obvious signs in an account are, have you ever invested in something before? No. Are you draining your life savings or your IRA or your 401k? Is this something that is completely outside of the norm? Like, do you only ever get a deposit in your account, you pay your bills through ACH, and you come and get $200 every Friday? Like, if you change that up and you're trying to invest $10,000, $50,000 within a matter of 40 days, from the first transaction to the next transaction, there should be some red flags if we're seeing a lot of money movement. What I want to, give back to financial institutions is to, when you have a suspicion, change your tactic for how you have a conversation with the potential victim. You cannot come out of the gate accusing them of having an online relationship, because I've been a part of those conversations where you automatically say, did you meet this person online? And automatically that person is going to feel like, you know what, they've already put me in a corner where they think that I'm not smart and that I've fallen for a scam. I'm not even going to trust these people because they don't want to hear me out. But instead, is someone guiding you to invest in cryptocurrency? Have you ever, or are you familiar with crypto trading? If not, how did you meet your investment partner? What steps did you take to meeting them and to vetting them as a known or a trusted investment broker? Or can you withdraw funds from your account today? We talked about that initial investment of $1,000 where they are encouraged by the fraudster to withdraw funds so that they trust that process. But if they're getting deeper into it and it's, they're trying to deposit $50,000 into this investment at, 30 days later, then ask them, okay, before we process this, can you withdraw funds from your account today? If you're prompted to pay a fee, you should know that is a big red flag, and that's something that would prove to you that this is a not legitimate transaction. Or if you can't, make a withdrawal, if there's some other type of excuse, that again are those red flags. Have you been advised again to make some sort of fee that has to be new money? Those are things that we can change for how we ask those questions. The other thing is making sure to take the time to understand why they are making these investments. As financial institutions, we can ask for the purpose of a wire, especially if this is a wire transaction that's occurring. Why are you doing this wire? And then you feel free to make the stance. Like, feel empowered is the word I like to give back to financial institutions, that if you do suspect something, put a pause on it. And ask your follow-up questions. Reach out to the other financial institution. Make sure that you are fully comfortable with sending those funds out, because if not, you may need to take the stance of saying, we will not participate in fraudulent activity. The pattern that you're following in these transactions look to follow the scam of pig butchering. We will not participate in that because we want to do our part to protect your financial security. Here's all the information we know about pig butchering. Please take it back and read it. You know, we can't stop someone from taking out their money in cash. It is their funds. But what we can do is we can pause how we will distribute those funds back to them. If it is through a wire, let's pause, let's look, and let's take the time to actually review and to actually have a conversation with our customers, making sure that we're not just trying to, you know, I use the phrase all the time, treat them like cattle, where it's kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. Instead, have a conversation to truly understand why they're trying to make that investment or why they think it's a good idea, and make sure that we take our stance as their trusted financial partner, and make sure that they're educated on the risk.
I love what you said, and I remember something that is called user behavior analytics. It practically is how people use the bank accounts, what time, how many times per week, what is the things that they pay with the bank account, all of these things. That is not only data analysis, is the psychologist of the client. Okay, if it's something is out of the regular behavior, what is happening. But I think what you mentioned here, Hailey, is super important, is how to approach the problem. Because we know that when we are victims, when we feel that we are victims about something, we don't feel comfortable. We feel like scared. We feel afraid. And shame, like a shame, no, I don't want to tell my problem to somebody that by my phone or something that is happening to me. And it's worse when we realize that this is a crime, because
Absolutely.
it's not only the victim. How many times, and probably Erin can't tell us about it, is how many times a victim becomes a scam, part of the scam process, because it's money laundering for the scammers, the breach account. So I think the way that we approach the owner of the account is very important. And this is a good job that you are doing with the financial institutions, because they need to understand what's happening with the person. Sometimes it's somebody who needs to talk, other times somebody that they don't want to talk. So what is the best way to approach them? So Erin, the final question, because I don't want to take a lot of time from your families and your dinners. What is the recommendation? One good recommendation for people who are listening to us about this kind of a scam. So what they need to learn before, or to do before, to start to do these investments or to be engaged with this kind of scams.
We need to be on alert that there are hundreds of thousands of people whose sole business right now is to reach out to us and try and get a friendship with us. And so we need to assume that any kind of text coming our way, or any kind of friend request on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, that person is a scammer unless they prove otherwise. So we should be just really careful about who we engage with, and really careful about keeping our circle of friends close.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. I loved the topic that we talked about today. And I think this is a conversation that we can continue next year. Thank you for your wonderful job. Erin, I know that you are retired, but I think we need you. And Hailey, thank you so much for this campaign, and how you are educating the financial institutions, and for everything that we learned when you are in these conferences. So let us know, where can people find you?
We're both on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as Erin Nordby West. Hailey, go ahead.
I don't know mine off the top of my head. It's,
well, Hailey's Hailey Windham on LinkedIn.
I think it's just Hailey Windham, yeah.
And,
okay.
And we both are part of Operation Shamrock. And so you can go to operationshamrock.org. And if you're interested, we would be happy to have you join our community of fraud fighters.
Oh, nice. So what we can do is once the program ends and it's ready in LinkedIn, so you can repost it and add your notes and people can follow you, okay? And learn from you because it's an amazing topic and a wonderful job that you are doing fighting fraud and scammers, okay? Thank you, ladies. So now you can just leave and I continue talking in Spanish to summarize the program today, okay? Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye.
Bueno, acabamos de tener una sesión maravillosa con Henry y Hailey. Estuvimos hablando acerca de una nueva modalidad de scammers donde esta modalidad se ha creado en China y donde pues sabemos que son grupos de personas muy grandes donde lo que tratan de hacer es crear una relación un poco más larga con la víctima, donde la invitan a participar en diferentes inversiones, empezando por criptomonedas, pasando por otros commodities como el oro. Y pues obviamente crean un lazo de confianza donde incluso en las plataformas que pueden invertir, porque la víctima puede ver esas plataformas que son falsas, incluso el scammer le da la oportunidad al principio a la víctima de retirar el dinero y la invita a invertir de nuevo. Hay que tener mucho cuidado porque la modalidad de llegar a la gente es creando ese lazo de confianza, no hay un target, un objetivo específico. Nos decía Henry que hay gente, víctimas de 20 años, como de 80 años, víctimas con mucha educación, con poca educación, víctimas que saben muchísimo de trading, de inversiones, como otras que no. Entonces aquí hay que tener mucho cuidado para pues, no caer en las garras de este tipo de scam que se llama pig butchering, como la carnicería del cerdo. Y Hailey nos explicaba que las instituciones financieras juegan un rol muy importante porque ellos deben conocer ese comportamiento del cliente, que está basado en qué cosas hace, por qué está sacando dinero de su cuenta, de su Social Security, de su retirement account, de donde pueden tomar dinero solo para vivir, pero ya lo están tomando para otras cosas. Sin embargo, hay que tener también claro que las instituciones deben aprender a cómo hablarle a los clientes, porque el cliente como tal es una víctima y en muchas ocasiones la forma de llegarle al cliente hace que el cliente se intimide y no cuente toda la información. Entonces acá también hay que invitar a las instituciones financieras a que puedan crear ese lazo de confianza, ese ambiente de confianza donde el cliente pueda contarnos para qué está retirando el dinero, quién lo está invitando a retirar el dinero, cuáles son las plataformas de inversión, quién lo está asesorando en esas plataformas de inversión. De modo que el cliente nos pueda contar más y ojalá podamos parar ese tipo de scammers. Como les dije anteriormente, este par de mujeres están haciendo cosas maravillosas. Yo los invito a que las sigan en redes sociales, especialmente en LinkedIn. Pertenecen a varios grupos donde apoyan a las víctimas, pero también donde educan a las instituciones financieras. Son voceras de este tipo de scammers que de verdad es nefasto. Es de verdad nefasto. Si el scammer, el tipo de scam que hablamos hace años, donde actuaban súper rápido, se enamoraban en 4 horas, pedían dinero al otro día de haberse conocido y creaban toda una crisis, acá la historia es un poco más sofisticada, más larga, donde se crea todo ese ambiente de confianza, de amistad, de un relacionamiento, donde no necesariamente van a pedir dinero en 16 horas de enamoramiento, sino que se toman el tiempo de cultivar esa amistad. Nos explicaba Henry que esto llega estas solicitudes de amistad llegan de cualquier forma en redes sociales y de hecho llegan mucho por teléfono, incluso llegan por, por los mensajes de texto de la línea tradicional y muchas veces preguntan, hola, ¿cómo te fue cuando llegaste a casa? Entonces, si uno empieza a decirle, no, estás equivocada, no sé a quién le estás hablando, pues la otra persona empieza a buscar la forma de enganchar en la conversación y pues pareciera que es una coincidencia. Lo mejor que hay que hacer es, si uno no reconoce ese número, inmediatamente bloquearlo. De hecho, ya las compañías de teléfono tienen forma de bloquear esos números, entonces, y de bloquearlos y reportarlos. O empiezan con conversaciones, discúlpame, ¿eres tú, Patricia? Un ejemplo, es que tengo el paquete para ti. O como le pasó al esposo de Hailey el año pasado, que de una empresa de entrega de paquetes UPS le dijeron que no lo podían encontrar para entregarle un paquete. También es muy común que llegue ese tipo de cosas. Entonces la idea es, hay que tener cuidado y la última recomendación que yo le pedí a Henry fue ¿cómo podemos nosotros darnos cuenta de esto? O sea, ¿qué podemos hacer? Y ella nos dice de una manera muy particular que yo estoy de acuerdo, es todas las solicitudes de amistad que recibamos, tomámoslas como sospechosas. Simple. Todas son sospechosas hasta que se pruebe lo contrario. No más. O sea, si usted no es al contrario, no es que entonces voy, estos son mis amigos y todos, y tengo 5,000, 10,000 amigos en una red social. No. Todo el que le pida a usted la solicitud de amistad, tómelo como sospechoso hasta que no pruebe lo contrario. Si todos tenemos esa política en las redes sociales, con seguridad vamos a ser capaces de controlar en nuestras vidas este tipo de situaciones. Yo lo digo porque muchas de las víctimas buscan tener más amigos en una u otra red social y les gusta llenarse como de, como de tener los likes y las caritas felices, en fin. Y esto es un riesgo porque los victimarios, los scammers, saben a quién le llegan y generalmente le llegan a la persona que más está buscando en las redes sociales. Entonces, hay que tener mucho cuidado. Aquí en adelante, cualquier solicitud de amistad, considéranla como sospechosa hasta que no se pruebe lo contrario. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que se conectaron el día de hoy. Recuerden compartir la información. Este tipo de situaciones es trágico, es triste. No lo tomen como que eso pasa solamente acá en Estados Unidos, como que eso pasa en otras esferas. No, pasa en todas partes y les puede pasar a cualquiera. Nadie, ninguna persona está libre de esta situación. Lo único que sabemos es que la industria criminal cada día es más sofisticada. No miremos el fraude como una situación que solo le pasa al vecino. No miremos el fraude como algo que solamente pasa en la casa de enseguida. Nosotros en cualquier momento podemos ser el target de un scammer, de un perpetrador. Hay que estar pendientes de todo lo que está pasando en nuestro ambiente, en nuestras redes sociales, en nuestra institución financiera donde nosotros manejamos nuestras cuentas, porque de verdad este tipo de cosas puede pasarle a cualquiera. Bueno, muchas gracias a todos. Les habló Marta Cadavid. Nos vemos la próxima semana en una cápsula más de fraude al desnudo. Por el momento los dejo con nuestra publicidad de No Fraud y muchas gracias a todos por compartir la información. Hasta pronto.